हरि ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे उपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। सर्वेषामपि भूतानां हरिरात्मेश्वरः प्रियः भूतैर्महद्भिः स्वकृतैः कृतानां जीवसंज्ञितः। So Harihi Jiva Saujnitaha Ishvaraha Harihi Jiva Saujnitaha. You see, Ishvara is same as the Atma. This is one of the greatest theses of all religious and philosophical thought, that you are the divinity that you are worshipping. So you are the divinity. It is like this. You look at, you are there, you look at the world around you, the universe. And now you are compelled to conceive or to contemplate upon a God who created this universe. Because when you look at the universe, so you take yourself to be very small, because there is the tendency to identify with the body. So the body and the embodied are taken to be of the same order by mistake, and therefore now I am a small part of this universe. This is the starting point. That is how we start the investigation. And therefore you have a huge universe ahead of you, because you are a small part of it. Then you are compelled to think of a cause for this universe. In fact, you are the cause, but you are compelled to think of a cause, and that cause is Ishvara. Now, what could be Ishvara? So you visualize something about Ishvara, and that Ishvara is indeed your true self. Realizing Ishvara and realizing one's true essence are just one and the same. There is no difference between the two. In fact, here he says, Jiva Saujnitaha. Jiva, the individual, is a Saujna, name given to Ishvara. That is the name given to Ishvara. You see, Brahman, the supreme reality, that is the reality. When you say Ishvara, Brahman alone appears as Ishvara in one context. The same Brahman is the individual in a different context. The same Brahman is the Jagat, universe. So this is what we call Adhyatma, that is the individual. Adhibhuta is the world or the universe, and Adhidaiva is Ishvara, the God. These three are not three different realities. These three are three different aspects of the same reality. That is how we look at it. Therefore, it is the Brahman, that reality, the same reality, which is appearing as three. So that Brahman, in a given conditioning, is looked upon as Ishvara. So when you say the Brahman, the cause of the universe, when you say, then that Brahman is now called Ishvara. The Brahman manifesting or expressing itself as the universe, now that Brahman is called the universe. The Brahman reflecting in this body mind, the same Brahman is now called Jiva. Therefore, Jiva Saujnitaha, the name Jiva is given to the same Brahman. See, it is like this. There was one lady who gives food in the village to the wayfarers, to the people who travel. These wayfarers will be there. And so they come to that small place, and this lady, she prepares food and gives to them, and she takes some money for that. It is a kind of a lodging house of modern times. So in the old days, it used to be like that. There is this place in the village. It is a house, and that lady gives food, old lady. And so you give some money to her, she gives food. This is this place. Now one day, the king is wandering in his kingdom in a disguise. He disguises himself, and therefore he wanted to know how things are going on. And the best place to find out the happenings in the society is this place, because all the wayfarers assemble there, and so they talk among themselves. They stay there for overnight or a few hours, and then they move on. And so he joined that crowd, small crowd, and he took his food. And so she gave him food like everybody else, and then took half rupee for giving the food. And then he saw everything and he went. Next day she came to know that the king has come and has partaken food given by her. She was bitterly crying, I did not know that he was the king. Had I known, I would have given him more respect, would have given better food, and would have treated much better way. I did not know that he was the king. I thought he is some silly guy, a wayfarer like anybody else. Like that she was bitterly crying. We are like that. So, this jiva samujñitaha, this individual, you think that he is the individual. So he is the Brahman, not individual. But you miss the reality that is reflected in the body-mind, and you look at the body-mind and you take the body-mind as the real. Because the problem is, what is your vision about yourself will determine your vision about God and also about world. People should know this. Suppose you are conflicted within, then you will see conflict everywhere. This world is full of conflict. If somebody says that, I can immediately guess that he is conflicted himself. So people think that world is conflicted. Whether world is conflicted or not, when the world appears conflicted to you, that proves that you are conflicted. Suppose you say, oh, so much peace in the world. That means you have peace in you. So there is so much love in the world. There is nice love in your heart. So your vision of yourself, your estimation of yourself determines your understanding of the world. The same thing about God. Same thing. That's why the God is sometimes called as an anthropomorphic God. So, people are happily married, therefore they visualize God is married. Because they are happily married, so God must have been married. They have children, therefore God also must have children. And so, they like nice food, especially sugar, sweet food they like. Therefore, God must be like, they declare. They don't even say, God must have liked this kind of dish. They don't say like that. They say, God likes this dish. There is not even an element of doubt in it. God likes laddu, that sweet ball. God likes laddu. And therefore, that only means that you like laddu. So, and that God that you are worshipping as though outside is indeed yourself. No, I am the Jiva. Yes, Jiva is the name given to God. Jiva Saudnyitaha. You see, Bhagavatam is like that. The Kathakaras, they don't look at all that. They look at only Prahlada instigating these young boys to say Hare, Hare, Hare like that. and then Hiranyakashipu becoming furious about it. How dare you make them tell this name of Hari? He banned the name of Hari. Nobody should utter the name of Hari in my kingdom. He has banned it. So, but his own son is uttering it now. So like that, the story is dramatized. But the teaching of Prahlada is lost sight of, generally. Anyway, I mentioned it. Therefore, I tell you what is Jiva, I tell you how. Brahman, the supreme reality, reflecting in body-mind, body plus mind or body-mind, plus ignorance is equal to Jiva. Now you take Jiva and minus that ignorance, remove that ignorance. So now Jiva alone will shine as Brahman. It is like you take a necklace and put in the fire of knowledge and take out. You will get gold. In the fire of knowledge. In fact, in the actual fire also you get gold only. But here we are talking of the fire of knowledge. Or let us say, you take necklace and put it in a muffle furnace where high temperatures are reached and take it out. You get gold out of it. Put in the necklace, get out the gold. Now similarly, you take the Jiva, individual, put this Jiva in the fire of knowledge, Jnanagnihi, Sarva Karmani Bhasmasat Kurute Arjuna. In Gita, Shri Krishna says, so all the bondages that the individual has are shattered are destroyed by the fire of knowledge. And so what comes out from that fire of knowledge is Brahman. So that way you have to understand. It is like you have a diamond and you put a red flower, diamond or a crystal, pure crystal, which has no color, pure crystal, colorless. Put a red flower besides it, you see a ruby. Put a yellow flower besides it, you see a sapphire. Is it a sapphire? I don't know. Okay, something like that. Put a blue color, blue lily besides it, you see Indranela Manikyam, whatever is called in English. So like that. So remove all these flowers, you have pure crystal. Similarly, when you have, I am Indian, I am Canadian. Suppose you have that situation. There I am is the Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. I am is the Brahman, and that Brahman is now limited by the attribute Canadian. So I am Indian, that Indian attribute limits the Brahman. And so similarly I am a Christian, I am a Hindu. So the I am is Brahman. When the person says I am a Christian, I am is Brahman. In fact, when the person says I am a Christian, where is this Christian? Where is it? Is it imprinted on the face or where? Where is this Christian? It is an idea that he has got about himself. Similarly, other descriptions. Suppose he is willing to keep this idea, which is nothing more than a thought or a conception, he just keeps it aside. Then what is he? Pure I am. Like this, every single description that people assume about themselves is set aside, then there remains a pure I am. And that I am pure is the window to the truth. That is the window to the truth. From that I amness, you should extricate, or you should take that I amness out of space-wise limitation and time-wise limitation. That much you have to do. That means the body cannot limit the I amness, the mind cannot limit the I amness. Body is the space, mind is the time. And so they do not limit the I amness. I am is pure Satchit, unlimited, not limited in space, not limited in time. That is Brahman. That means what? You have the Brahman, it is all the time Brahman. But now, given a name, Jiva, this naming is a very big problem. That's why people who are devoted to names and forms, in all likelihood they will not know the truth, because it's a vicious circle. So one name leads to another name, leads to another name. Now you are caught in the names and forms. So if you see, you may not venture to name anything. Just don't name it. And see, you remain free. Suppose you name something, there is already bondage. You see, one person told me a principle. When food is served, you don't name any dish. No name is given to any dish. Nameless dishes are served. Of course, you are given an assurance that it is all vegetarian food, so you need not worry on that count. So, but no dish has any name. Now, when you are eating that food, it is nutritious food, guaranteed. Nutritious, guaranteed. Vegetarian, guaranteed. Bas, now you can go ahead and eat that food, no name. Now you see, all your likes and dislikes about food, they fall apart. And gradually you reach a stage that all this attachment to this kind of food, that food, so I like this food, I like that food, all this attachment, which is not good for the body, which is not good for the mind, and which is not good for the students of Vedanta anyway. So all that attachment will fall apart if you do not name the food, name the dish. Just don't name it. That is the power of naming. Name just binds you. It is the name that binds. So, and you remove the name. Along with the name, the shape. Now the reality, which is nameless and spaceless, shines forth brilliantly. And that is the Brahman. So Brahman is the Jiva Samudnyataha. Brahman alone is called Jiva. So at 12 o'clock in the chronogram, in the clock, at 12, the small needle and the big needle merge. Similarly, when the individual who is taken to be the small needle understands his true nature, by the time he knows his true essence, he merges in the big needle, which are kept separate in ignorance. They merge. That is the 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock is like Purna time, 12 o'clock means the complete time. And in that completeness of time, the small and the big merge. Similarly, in the fullness of Jnanam, the individual and the Godhead merge. That is the Brahma Samudnyataha, Jiva Samudnyataha. You see, here is a question. How Ishvara has become Jiva? There is no distinction between Ishvara and Jiva. Means Ishvara alone has become Jiva. Like that king has become the wayfarer just by changing the cloak. So Ishvara alone has become Jiva. How? You see, one king was going in a palanquin. Palanquin? So people carry it in the old-fashioned way. The king was sitting on cushions. And he has these drapes, so he has his privacy. He rested quite well. Palanquin is going on. Then he pushed the drapes aside. Then he found a field by the side of the path. The field is there. And a farmer is tilling the field. So the king was amused. And then, so he went, he stopped the palanquin. And so they stopped there. He came out of it and he walked into the field. Across the field he walked. And then he said hello to this farmer. And the farmer, an Indian, old-fashioned Indian farmer, he has a half naked he is, upper portion is naked, he is exposed to the sun and all that, it's a tropical country. He has some kind of a cloth around his waist, and so he is stealing. No chappals, nothing. And so he is sweating, and so that is what the farmer is. And the king in his regal dress stood before him. Then, hello. So he said hello and all that. The farmer has prostrated before him, paid all respects. So all the formalities are over. Then the king asked him, what is the difference between you and me? He told, Maharaj, what a question. You are the king, you are the supreme ruler of this kingdom. And you see your regal glory and majesty. Where are you and where am I? I am a poor farmer, and so half clad, not even fully clad, half clad, exposed to the sun, tilling the land. Where is the comparison between you and me? Then the king told, okay, now you come out of the field, come on to the path. So they both stood side by side. The king removed his cloak and all his regal headgear he removed, and removed his shoes, the gold laced shoes has removed, and he has tied one waist cloth, and he stood in the sun, and then made the farmer stand beside him, and now asked, what is the difference between you and me? He said, there is no difference. So like that. So it is the same Satchit, the awareful being. Satchit it is. What is I am? Did you ever investigate what is I am? You investigate I am. I am is with you. Not the verbal I am, not the sentence I am. The feeling I am. So the non-verbal I am. You investigate, that is you. You investigate it. It is a sense of being. That is what it is. The sense of being. Sense means the knowing of being. Knowing, don't say knowledge. Knowledge means we end up taking it as some bookish knowledge. Knowledge means a book. Like that, that sense comes. So, to avoid that notion, I am not using the word knowledge. I am using the word sense. You sense. So, one need not be a scholar to have this sense. One can be very literate also. Doesn't matter. That's why when it comes to the knowledge of the self, the scholarship doesn't matter anymore. It is about being the self, which is nothing but the sense of being, the sense of I am. The I amness is nothing but the sense of being. But then the sense of being, which is Satchit, is limited by the body in space and by the mind in time. This is the limitation. Limitation is always in space and in time. That is the limitation, fundamental limitation. Paricheda, Desha Paricheda, Kala Paricheda. So the I amness, which is the pure sense of being, as it is limited in space and time, that alone is called Jiva, a name given to it, Jiva. And without limitations, pure I amness, without any limitations of space and time, so that is the Brahman. Therefore, take Brahman and put some limitations in it, becomes Jiva, Jiva Samujnitaha. You see, Brahman is the infinite, Jiva is the finite. So how Brahman, the infinite, could become Jiva, the individual, who is the finite? How could that happen? Yeah, that is called Maya. That's why you need a Maya there. Without Maya, you cannot work it out. Maya means magic. It is all a big magic. And a God is the magician. And you are that God also, really speaking. So now you see, you look at the infinite, the absolute Brahman, through a glass. The glass of time, space and causation. That is the glass. It is a prism. Prism has three surfaces. That's why I said prism. So through the prism of space, time and causation. Causation is what? This universe and the cause of the universe. That is the principle of causation, and then space and time. So when you look at the principle of causation, or causation could be that I was born to a set of parents. That is the causation. I was born, Born means he is caused. And therefore there must be a cause. Because there is a cause, he is caused, Therefore he is born. And so he is now limited or conditioned by the causation. And then he is conditioned by space and conditioned by time. That is the glass. That is the prism. So when the sunlight is seen through the prism, it appears split into 7 different colors. Take it like that. Don't go into the physics of sunlight being composite and all that. That is true. But just only that much is the example. So when you look at this prism of space-time causation, at the absolute, the Brahman, on the other side, what you see on the lower side is the individual or multitude of the universe. This individual, that individual, that individual. Same Brahman appears divided into a multitude of jivas. Each jiva distinct from the other jiva. But reality, there is no multitude and there is no jiva other than Brahman. It is the prism of space, time and causation that makes you see a multitude of jivas in the place of Brahman. What is Brahman, but in the place of that Brahman, because you look at this prism, you see a multitude of jivas. And then you also see each jiva different from the other jiva, thereby very limited. This is how it happens. And now you understand what is that absolute which is on the other side of the prism. What is that absolute? In that absolute there is no time, there is no space, and there is no causation. That is the absolute. And so in the absolute there is no idea of time. The time is not there. Time is not there because the idea of time is not there. Because time is always a mental category. And in the absolute there is no mind. There is no mind. This is the mind. The prism of time, space and causation, that is the mind. That is the prism of the mind. And that is the maya. And that is the ajnana. Mind is ajnana. And therefore in the absolute there is no mind. And therefore there is no time in the absolute. There is no thought in the absolute. And unless there is a mind and there is a thought, mind and thought, thought comes from the mind like that. Or you can as well say mind is the thought, doesn't matter. So in the absolute there is no thought, and therefore in the absolute there is no time. You know why? Time is a category of the thought. In fact, thought and time, they go together. Thought is encased in time. The division, the condition of time is very inherent to the thought. And in the absolute there is no thought. And therefore in the absolute there is no thought. And in the absolute there is no motion, there is no movement, because absolute is one without the second. There is no second. And in the absolute there is no causation, because it is one without the second. And when there is no second, it is the one without the second, there cannot be any motion. Because motion becomes possible. Motion is defined as the movement of an object with reference to a referral point, a reference point. There must always be a reference other than the object that is moving in space, in the flow of time. Then only you have motion. So the absolute is one without the second, and therefore there can be no motion in it. And in fact the causation, it begins only when the absolute is degenerated into the multitudinous universe through the prism of space-time causation. So this is the description. Therefore you apply the principle of space-time causation to yourself. Don't look at yourself through the prism of space-time causation. How I am here, I am this body, means you are looking at yourself through the prism of space. I was born, which means I am going to die. So now I am retired, old man, this and that. So you are looking at yourself through the prism of time. And then a causation. Causation means I was born to a set of parents, or some karmas made me, and I am the victim of karmas, or I am the child of karmas, this karma, that karma. And that means you are the karta. Because you are karta, therefore you are bhokta. So this is how you put yourself in the flow of causation, and so you become the caused. So this is how you are looking at yourself. Fundamentally, the human being looks at himself all the time through this prism of space-time causation. If he can rise above this prism, he is Brahman. It is that simple. You are the Brahman. So, keeping all this in mind, so, Jiva Samujnitaha Chale Devo Suro Manushyo Va Yaksho Gandharva Evacha Bhajan Mukunda Charanam Swastiman Syad Yathavayam. Anyway, now there is a small shift in the topic. So Prahlada is saying, you need welfare in life. Swastiman, welfare. You see, there is a way of doing things. One is, you decide what is your welfare, and then seek that from Ishvara. This is what is called Kamya Karma. So you know what is good for you, you know. And whatever is good for you, that you desire. And now you are offering a worship. Now from your side you have done everything. Now it is the God's turn to fulfill your desire. This is how people go about it. And so that is one way. But that need not be the only way. There is an alternate way. That way is you allow Ishvara to decide which is good for you. This is called Sharanagati. So, here is a brahmachari who knows that his happiness lies in getting married, and therefore he is worshipping. Because nowadays, this brahmachari is getting married is not easy. In India, the ratio has gone out of normal. It is not 50-50 anymore. It is something like 70-30 or 60-40. 60-40 is good enough to create a lot of imbalance. So, therefore, so the brahmachari, he wants to get married. Why should you want to get married? Because I will be happy. I will have a lot of comfort and happiness in life. And so, he connects the comfort and happiness to marriage. That is how he made the connection. He should consult the married people before making that connection. But anyway, he doesn't have that kind of space. So he decided, marriage is the thing for me. Now he goes to God. And first he goes to Guru. Guru Maharaj, so to get married, to which God should I worship? The Guru cannot say, go and worship Hanuman. That is not possible. It is ruled out. Because Hanuman worship is not going to help. Therefore, you have to find out some other worship. So this is how the human mind operates. Then there is another brahmachari. He decided, he has worked it out this way. There is another way. I surrender myself to Ishvara. Now whether I should get married or not, Ishvara will decide. And so he practices devotion in a very motiveless devotion. It is called motiveless devotion. There is no motive, like I should get married, that motive is not there. But there is devotion. This is called Sharanagati. And Prahlada, he subscribes to that kind of devotion. So swastiman syat yatha vayam. Anybody, whosoever it may be, he may be devaha, means an angel, a star. Devaha is angel. Asuraha means a demon. This is the Puranic language. In the Puranic language, Devaha is angel, Asuraha is a demon. But then Shankara in Bhashyas, he says, all devatas are among humans only. And asuras are also among humans. So who are these devatas? So the Hollywood stars are there, they are the devatas. They are the angels, you know. Really, they are the angels. Angels means stars. Right? Stars, you know. So they are the stars. If you go to Hollywood, so when you walk on the footpath, there you have all these stars one after the other. Their names are written on the footpath. They are the stars. So all these stars are the devatas. And these devatas, they will do a lot of good for themselves by surrendering to Ishvara. Devaha. Or it may be Asura. Asura means a person given to worldly pleasures. That is the Asura. You find these Asuras, as Pujya Swamiji says, these Asuras are none other than the suited people. You find them in boardrooms, in the boardrooms of big companies, etc. You will find them. They are very well suited people. They are the Asuras. They have a few billions, but they are very short of money. Therefore, they want a few more billions. And so these are the Asuras, suited people. They are among us. And so whether he is a Deva or he is an Asura, Manushyova, like us, simple human beings, could be a Manushya. Yaksho Gandharva Evacha. Yakshaha is a problem. So Yakshaha means these finance people. They are the Yakshas. In charge of Bank of America and Fannie Mae or some such peculiar names are there. So they are the Yakshas. They are the finance people. All finance people are Yakshas. And Gandharva Evacha. Gandharva, these are all angels, a variety of angels in Puranic literature. But they are all the human beings. Gandharva means dance and music people. That is the Gandharva. Within them you can make a distinction. Dance is Apsarasaha, music is Gandharva. But if the distinction is not made, because dance and music go together, and so, for example, a dance you cannot have, a mute dance, I mean without sound. A dance you cannot have. Dance means there must be a lot of music with it. And music at one time, Indian music, they sit and sing. Can you believe it? They just sit without motion, like in asanam, and sing. But in those days, if somebody stands and sings, that is considered a kind of a peculiarity. So much so, in the literature we have an expression, Tishtan Gayati. That is the expression. Means, do you know this? He sings while standing. Can you believe it? He is a very unique person. He doesn't sit and everybody sits and sings. Whereas he stands and sings Tishtan Gayati. Whereas now it is all the more different. It is not Tishtan Gayati. It is Nrutyan Gayati. He dances and sings. In fact, to sing, he must start dancing. Then only he can sing. Unless he starts to dance, he cannot sing. He can sing only when he dances. Very interesting. Very amazing thing it is. Dance and music, they are together. So, these are the Gandharvas. The most modern and most world famous Gandharva is he is no more. He is Michael Jackson. He is the Gandharva, supreme Gandharva. He sings and dances and sings. And so, very amazing person he is. And he is a vibhuti. He is one of his kind, I tell you. I have seen some of his singing and dancing. It is something. Anyway, so these are the Gandharvas. All are human beings, whosoever they may be. Everybody wants this welfare. Swastiman, yatha vayam. So Prahlada tells these boys, including us, we the kids studying in a school, for every one of us, for every human being, in every station of life, that is the idea, in every station of life, the only way to secure welfare, swastiman, is Mukunda Charanam Bhajan. So worship the lotus feet of Ishvara. Once again, it should not be construed right away as a name and form. Generally, lotus feet means they have a pair of feet there. And so physically they take it like that. So not necessary to take it like that. Feet represent some sanctity. Like in India, they touch the feet of a Mahatma. There is a sanctity in that. And there is a meaning and reason also. They don't touch hands or head or any such thing. They don't shake hands. They touch the feet. Shake hands is another way. So, you see, for the hands, the presiding deity is Indra. For the feet, the presiding deity is Vishnu. Now you want to shake hands or touch feet, you tell me? That is how it is decided. Shake hands means you are paying respects to Indra. Whereas touch feet means you are paying respects to Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, within the hierarchy of devatas. Anyway, therefore there is a meaning in touching the feet. But here, it's not that God stands there, you go and touch the feet. It is not. So we should not convert the whole thing into some ritual. It becomes a simple ritual. So God is standing there, and therefore you go and touch the feet. You have done your job. Now you can go back into the world with reinforced vigor. That is not the way to look at it. Touching the feet, or serving the feet, or being devoted to the feet, the lotus feet, means surrender. That is the significance of feet, surrender. So, we will do well to surrender. This is what is said. In America they say, let go and let God. Or the other way, let God and let go. Means you allow the God into your thought life. So allow God to enter into your thought life in a big way, and then let go. Let go means become free. Give up all concern and become free. It's a great freedom. Give up all concern. You see, this is my argument. You may give a thought to it. When we were in 2011, we were concerned about 2012. Now, in 2012, we are not concerned about 2012, we are concerned about 2013. So, all our concern about 2012, which we had in 2011, was a waste. Because 2012 has come and is going and is gone. So, what for we were concerned about it in 2011? Unnecessarily we were concerned, right? Do you agree with me or not? Now, the same way we are now getting concerned about 2013 unnecessarily. 2013 will come and it will bring what it has to bring. Allow it to unfold and accept things as they come. Some of them will be very nice and the rest will be not so nice. And so you accept the flow and receive whatever comes gracefully and accept it. So, if you accept what comes, then there is no distress anymore. All distress comes from the psychological rejection of what is. You should not reject what is. How can you reject what is? How can you reject what is? You cannot reject what is, there is no sense in it. It is like there is wall and so you go and hit it. You have to bypass it and go elsewhere. Similarly, what is, you should accept it. You cannot say, I reject what is. That is wrong. So, no, I want to do something about it. You do, but first accept. Accept and then do, so that you can do effectively. Therefore, there is no point in getting concerned about 2013, because our experience shows that all the concern that I had in 2011 about 2012 was a waste, because 2012 came and we received some good things and some bad things also, and we are fending, we are going along with it. So the same thing will happen in 2013 also. So why to get concerned one more time? But people, every year, their first thing is create a load of concern and worry about the next year. This is the New Year worship. So all the people assemble on the New Year, so that they create an atmosphere of concern, anticipation and insecurity and fear for the coming year. That is the job they do when they assemble for the New Year. What a silly thing to do. You should not do that. When you assemble for the New Year, you should resolve. We are surrendering to Ishvara's glory. And we do not anticipate anything. We do not get concerned about anything. And we are letting go. And then accept things as they come. If that is your resolution of the New Year, you will not know what is insecurity and fear. Anyway, whosoever he is, he may be very superior like an angel, or may be very inferior like a demon. Whosoever it is, by surrendering to Ishvara, it is possible to gain all the welfare that you need. Nalam digvijatvam devatvam rishitvam vasuratmajaha Prenanaya mukundasya navartanna bahujñata. Here is a dvija. Dvija means twice born. This twice born concept is everywhere. Of course, in India it is there. So, this young boy, at the age of 9 or 10, he is given Gayatri Mantra and a sacred thread, etc. Now he is twice born. This is there in Christianity also. In Christianity they have some expression similar to that. Born again. Born again. Means he started going to the mass and started doing prayers, and so he discovered the glory of Christ in his life. So he is now called born again. And then in Jewish culture it is there. Bar Mishwa, etc. So everywhere it is there. I think it has come by the Silk Route. I suppose so. Anyway, so this is Dvijatvam, twice born. It's a special status of a Brahmana, and he is respected. If he is a Dvija, twice born, means he is initiated into Gayatri, and he lives a very pious life. So that brings a lot of reverence to him. So here the question is, so should one be a Dvija to surrender to Ishvara? No, not necessary. So you don't need that qualification. Then you put it the other way. Suppose one is a Dvija, twice born. So will he be surrendering to Ishvara because he is a Dvija? You don't know. He may not. Therefore, Dvijatvam, the qualification of being twice born, is neither a sufficient condition nor a necessary condition for surrender. One need not be a Dvija, yet one can surrender. One may be a Dvija, but he may not be surrendering at all. He may be pursuing worldly things without surrendering. Same is Devatvam. Suppose he is an angel. So, is he particularly qualified or suited to surrender to Ishvara? No. Should we be angels to surrender to Ishvara? No. It is neither necessary nor sufficient. rishitvam, like a rishi, means a very pious person, an entire life devoted to austerity, or an entire life devoted to studies, a great philosopher. Therefore, he is particularly eligible for surrender to Ishvara. Can you say like that? No. Even that is not necessary, not sufficient. O boys, asuratmajaha. So, na vruttam na bahujñata. So, vruttam is sacred vows, conducive to person as charity, not austerity. Okay. Yeah. Vruttam. Vruttam means a character. Means suppose he has good character. Therefore he alone can surrender to Ishvara. Now here is a person. He had a life of criminality. He performed a few crimes, and he visited the penitentiary a few times. But now he wants to surrender to Ishvara. So can he do that? Yes, he can. So even the vruttam, the conduct, is not a condition for surrender. Na bahujñata. One need not be a great scholar knowing many things to surrender. One could be a novice, a very silly guy, not knowing anything, but still he can surrender to Ishvara. So this surrender to Ishvara, Sharanagati, it just doesn't demand any condition from the people. People could be in any stage of life, with any qualification, with or without any qualifications. They can right away surrender to Ishvara. Then we may say, Nadananna tapo nejya, na shauchannam vratānicha, priyate malaya bhaktya, hariranyad vidambanam. Very simple verses, Sanskrit wise they are not difficult. That's why I am making you say that. And you can easily follow and you can revisit the whole thing. Suppose here is a philanthropist. So is he having any particularly special qualification for surrender? No. Na tapaha. One who has performed great austerities, penance, maybe he can do surrender. Not necessary. Not necessary. Nejya, great rituals are performed. So now, is that a qualification for surrender? No. Na shaucham. Suppose he is not a very clean person, outwardly as well as inwardly. Outwardly, he is very dirty looking, not wearing some nice dress, etc. Very like a village bum, not well dressed, etc. So can he surrender? Yes. Suppose his character and his heart was not pure. He had some impurities of heart, and now he decided to surrender. Can he do that? Yes. Nam vratānicha, great vows they have not taken. So he has no vows in his life. So can he surrender? Yes. So what does that mean? This only means this much. Harihi amalaya bhaktya priyate. Ishvara is pleased, or he is nicely propitiated, and he can shower his blessings upon you. All this can happen by devotion, bhakti, love. Bhakti, love. Bhakti is love. Also called devotion. Devotion is love. And what kind of love? Amalaya. Free from the impurity or the blemish. What could be the blemish in devotion or in love? What could be the blemish? The blemish could be a desire. That is the blemish. Suppose this young man gave a ring, a diamond ring. proposing his love. I love you. So he gave a diamond ring. So she looks at, the tag, but the tag is removed. Okay, let me see the bill. Okay, this is the bill. This is the ring you brought for me? This just $499. What kind of a ring it is? At least it must be some $2,000 or $3,000 from Tiffany and Company. It must be that much. It cannot be some silly ring of $499. What kind of ring it is? So I do not accept this engagement. Suppose she says that. That means she has got it all wrong. Love should not be like that. Either she or he. It can be the other way also. So in love, there is no desire involved. So desire a demand, an expectation about wealth or whatever. If that is there, if there is some expectation or some notion of gaining some advantage, I love you. So even while saying that, he knows that there is an advantage in loving her or him. There is some advantage. It could be physical advantage in the sense that he gets some wealth or whatever, she gets some wealth or some comfort, whatever. Or it could be psychological advantage. So even while saying I love you, he said it, or he is still saying, and he still holds on to that idea that I love you, because he feels that in loving her I gain some advantage, some psychological advantage. Even that is not love. Even that becomes an attachment or moha, infatuation, asakti or moha, not love. There is always some love, you cannot help it because you are the love inside. Therefore this love will be expressing in every part of life, but it is mostly covered up by attachment and infatuation, moha. So we have to take that precaution. So love must be very pure, amalaya. You put a demand along with your expression of love, already the love has become impure. Mala is impure. See, you try this in the world, you try. Suppose this young man says to the lady, I love you because your father is rich and I am likely to get some riches. Suppose he says it. Then what she will say? Either she will say shut up, or she can even give a slap of her to the guy. Because it is kind of insulting. Your father is rich and I am likely to get some wealth from him. If I love you, therefore I am loving you. What kind of a statement it is? But with God you can get away with all that. Oh God, I am worshipping you because you happen to be the consort of goddess wealth, Lakshmi, and you are likely to give me some wealth. Therefore I love you, I worship you. And poor God, he listens to all that. He doesn't, because he has become a stone. He just listened to all that. So that is the devotion. That is also devotion. Some kind of devotion. To begin with, it's okay. So instead of begging before the world, the person is begging before God. So to that extent he is better. But that is not love pure. Amalaya bhaktya. So no qualification is required. You can propitiate Ishvara by pure love. Priyate amalaya bhaktya harihi anyad vidambanam. Suppose you do not have that love, unconditional love or motiveless love. Suppose you do not have it. Your dvijatvam, twice bornness, devatvam, so being an angel, rishitvam, the being a seer, or vruttam, character, great scholarship, dana, charity, philanthropy, austerity, shaucha, the vows, none of them will have any value without that pure love. Anyad vidambanam. It is all, without pure love, it is all an empty show. Vidambanam. Love should be there. Love for Ishvara. You see, this love is a very important topic. And its value in the Vedanta philosophy is there very much. Very important from the standpoint of Vedanta philosophy. And then from the standpoint of pragmatic life, it is the one thing that we have to cultivate to make life free from conflict. That love. Love is the supreme power. In this creation, love is the supreme power. No military power can equal the power of love. People think that military power will solve problems. It will never solve. Military power can never solve the problems of the world. Probably this could be the distinction between the thesis, Bush thesis versus Obama thesis. Probably. Maybe that's why they have given Nobel Prize to Obama. Probably. I thought so. Because it is not about Mr. Bush. I am not talking about Mr. Bush. I am telling about a thesis. The essence of the thesis is military power can resolve the issue of terrorism. That is the thesis. Bush-Cheney thesis. Whereas Obama thesis, military power, he cannot say altogether dismiss it, but understanding and cooperation, dialogue, and trying to see what is that the other person has in his mind. So these things, these are all other words for love. In politics, nobody can say love will solve it, because it is not politically correct language. But the thesis has the element of love in it. So military power cannot solve any problem. Any power, money power or physical power, they cannot solve any problem, any conflict. Whereas love can solve all conflicts of the life. And love has supreme power in this creation. And one should know that. And then there is another thing to know clearly. Love of God is not different from love of anything else. It is one and the same. You know why? Because Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. All is God. Suppose you love a flower. You have to love a flower. If you are attached to a flower, that is not devotion. For example, when you look at a flower, your heart jumps with wonder and amazement at the glory of Ishvara. You don't disturb the flower. In fact, you don't even touch it, because when you touch the flower, it may wither, even to a minute extent. Therefore, you don't touch it. The question of cutting it and putting in the pocket, etc., doesn't arise. That is not love. That is all attachment. 12 roses, 9.99, all that is attachment. That has nothing to do with love. Why do you need 12 roses? You don't need 12 roses. Human beings are self-contradicting all the time. You know what they do? When they see a rose on a plant, they cut it with the stem. Then what will happen to the rose? It will wither away. But then what they do? They put a small capillary-like thing and put water in it and put this stem. I asked somebody when he put that, why this glass thing with water? Swamiji, don't you know this much? It will wither away. Oh, great wisdom. It will wither away. Therefore, you have put a vessel and put it. I ask you, when you know that it will wither away, why did you cut it in the first place? You should not have cut it, Don't cut it, just leave it where it is. Then it won't wither away. No, I did not cut, somebody else cut. Somebody else cut because you are paying him. You stop purchasing this $12.99, $9.99 thing, then he will stop cutting. It's a vicious circle, Therefore, that is not love. That is, you see, when when you love an inanimate object, a lifeless object, it is called moha. It is not called love. You may use the word love. But when you see it as the glory of Ishvara, a rose is the glory of Ishvara. The way the petals are structured, the color, the fragrance, it is all the vibhuti of Ishvara. And I love. I love the rose. I love the tree. I love the birds. I love the dry leaf falling from the tree, lazily falling from the tree, not knowing where will it fall. Kabir Das compared human life with a falling leaf. The falling leaf doesn't know where will it fall. It is falling from a majestic tree, Taruvara. It is coming out of a majestic tree. But it doesn't know. It is now divorced or separated from the majestic tree. And it doesn't know where will it fall. Similarly, this jiva is separated from the body, and where will he fall? He doesn't know. He will fall somewhere. Like that he compares. And so that dry leaf falling from the tree, I love it. And I watch it as it lazily comes and falls on the ground somewhere. I love the trees which are moving their head in the breeze. I love the simple noise that they make, that rustling sound they make when they move their heads in the breeze. I love the meadows, wild meadows. Don't take a cutter and start cutting. Just learn to love the wild meadows. I love the kids, children. I love elders. I love young men. I love women. All life forms I love. Without looking at caste, creed, race, religion. Every human being I love. All life forms I love. All flora and fauna I love. Everything I love. I love every particle of this universe. That is love of God. Therefore, you should not feel that love of God is different from love of other things, because there are no other things. There is only Ishvara. Sarvam khalvidam Brahma. And therefore I love all. What for? There is no what for. Sri Ramakrishna says, when you know that you love Ishvara, and then you know not why you love Ishvara, but you know that you love Ishvara. Know not why you love Ishvara. That is what he says. I repeated it twice because such a beautiful vision. When you reach that stage, you don't need anything else. Moksha is yours. You are already a liberated soul. That is the bhakti. And you have even a glimpse of that devotion. All these qualifications described there have some meaning. If this love is not there, they are all an empty show. You see, the idea is not to denounce a character, not to denounce the vows or austerities. That is not the idea. It is called Nahinanda Nyayam. The entire verse is not aimed at denouncing something. Its aim is, its purport is to glorify love of Ishvara. So this is the love that will take us to moksha. That is what Prahlada says to these boys. Tato harau bhagavati bhaktim kuruta danavaha atmaupamyena sarvatra sarvabhutatmanishvare. Very wonderful verses. They are small verses but very valuable verses. For example, as you read this verse, at least 2 verses of Gita should strike your mind. It has 2 verses of Gita in it. In Gita 6th chapter there is a verse. Sukham va yadi va atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukham va yadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. He is the great yogi. Yogi means a seeker, a striver. He is the great devotee, or he is a great jnani. Who is that? Who sees samam, the same way. What? Sukham va yadi va dukkham. Whether it is pleasure or pain, happiness or unhappiness. He sees them the same way. Where? Atma sarvatra, everywhere. You see how we see sukham for me, great. Dukkham for me, oh, should not happen. This is our vision about oneself. Then everywhere, anywhere and everywhere, sukham, happy. Dukkham, unhappy. That means, wherever I see sukham, happiness, I rejoice as if it is my own sukham. And wherever I see dukkham, I feel sad as if it is my own dukkha. This is called atmaupamyena. So, you see, generally people, when a small calamity comes to them, they exaggerate it. Oh, what a big calamity has happened to me. But a big calamity comes to the others. Oh, life is like that, they should know how to face it, like that we say. So generally, there was a doctor, a surgeon. He was doing surgery every day, big surgeries he was doing, major surgeries. And so he was saying, what is in it surgery? Just give anesthesia and I will cut it and remove the whatever part I have to remove. Afterwards he is pushed into the intensive care unit. There he will recover. In a week or 10 days he will recover. No, there is a lot of pain after the anesthesia, or some pain he has to undergo. We have anesthesia and so some withdrawal pain will be there. People have to bear with it. Like that he was saying. Then one day he had to undergo a surgery. Small surgery. Just a little surgery. Then some anesthesia, some silly anesthesia is given and the surgery is over in 10 minutes. And then he was sent home. And the anesthesia is now wearing out. Now he says, this is what he says. I have done so many surgeries, big surgeries, but not a single surgery was as painful as this surgery. That is what he says. How can it be painful? So that should not be the approach. Everywhere atmaupamyena. So what I tell you, when you rejoice as you see people in happiness, whosoever they may be, they are happy, therefore you rejoice. You are a yogi. And they are unhappy, therefore you feel unhappy. You become sad. When you see people becoming sad, you become sad. Ayyo, papam, like that. So, you are a yogi. Atmaupamyena. That means all sense of division based on caste, creed, race, religion, region, nationality, all divisions are kept aside. You see Atma, the same Atma, which is Ishvara, in every living being. This is the Atmaupamya. So, Sarvatra, that is the devotion. This is how you have to practice devotion. You see, generally, the word devotion, it has come to mean a kind of devotion which is called gauna, secondary devotion. Like, there is a temple and there is a shrine, you are devoted to that shrine. It is a devotion, but very limited in its scope. And you have to grow further. You keep it. I am not against it. You have to have it. You have a small shrine at your home. You practice some devotion, you do some ritual and have some devotion. Go to a temple. You feel the presence of Ishvara in the temple and therefore you feel devoted. It is easy to get devoted in that ambience is very conducive for devotion. Great, you be devoted to that. But that is not the end of it. In fact, that is the very beginning of it. And I would even like to say it is not even the first step. You have had to take the first step in the path of devotion. So, this is the devotion. Atma, you are devoted to Ishvara, who is all pervasive, and so who is everywhere. And so that is the devotion. It is called Parabhaktihi. That is the name given to it, Parabhaktihi. Translated by Swami Vivekananda as a supreme devotion. It's not about translation. He has a book called Supreme Devotion. He describes the Parabhakti in a very marvelous way. You should read it. So that kind of mananam will be very useful. Anyway, O Dhanavas, O boys, please practice such a devotion on Ishvara. Please have that devotion in life. And there are two elements in the devotion. One is sarvatra atma upamyena. So that we have seen. And the second, Ishvare. You see, you love Ishvara. But then what is Ishvara? So the bhakti is defined as love of God. Pritihi Ishvare. Okay, but what is Ishvara? What is God? Sarvatmani Pritihi. That is the definition. So Ishvara, who happens to be the Atma, the essence, the innermost self, that is the Atma, the innermost self of every living being. That is Ishvara. You see, there are not so many selves. This self, that self, yourself, myself. There are not many yourself, myself like divisions. There is only one self, and that is the self of all. There is only one self, which is the self of all. That is the Sarva Bhutatmani. And that self, which is the self of all, is Ishvara. So, and you have love for that Ishvara. You may use a shrine to represent that Ishvara in a provisional way, provisional representation for that Ishvara. Fine. But that is very preliminary. That kind of a Namarupa representation of all pervasive Ishvara is the preliminary stage of devotion. You have to note that point. People should have preliminary. But you see, it is like the child is learning to walk, and therefore the steps are very faltering. And so the faltering steps of a child are very enjoyable. We enjoy it, and we encourage the child to take some more faltering steps. But suppose after 2, 3, 5, 10 years also he is still taking faltering steps. So now you have to take the child to some doctors, some medical people you have to take. Because it is not proper. It is not in the fitness of things that the child continues to take faltering steps even after 10 years of age. Similarly, we are supposed to practice this Namarupa devotion, the devotion to Namarupa, practice worshipping a shrine, etc., as Swami Vivekananda puts it. It is a very preliminary stage. And so you are welcome to keep your preliminary stage. But you are advised to move forward quickly. Don't be faltering all the time. So, move forward. How? Sarva Bhutatmani Ishvare. So, true devotion is love of Ishvara, who is the essential self of every life form. That is the Sarvatmani Pritihi. That is the love. Pritihi is love on Ishvara, who is Sarvatma. That Sarvatma must be the watchword in the context of supreme devotion. Etavaneva lokesmin pumsasvartha parasmrutah ekanta bhaktir govinde yat sarvatra tadikshanam. Very interesting statement. You see, when I see that one first half of the verse, I remembered a statement coming from Swami Vivekananda from Karma Yoga. He has a book called Karma Yoga. And there he says Be selfish. By all means be selfish, but the right way. So, be selfish, but the right way. What is the right way? Selflessness is the best way to secure which is the best for you. Why people are selfish? Because they want the good things for them. That's why they are selfish. Okay. Why people are selfish? Because they want happiness for them. That's why they are selfish. Okay. If that is what you want, for the sake of happiness you want to be selfish, by all means be selfish to secure happiness. But by the practice of this kind of selfishness, you end up in unhappiness. What kind of selfishness it is? You have hurt yourself. That is not even proper selfishness. So be selfish, but the right way. I will tell you one principle. You may examine it. The only way to become happy in life, only way, is to give happiness to others. You may wonder how can that be, but you think about it, you sleep over that thinking, that idea. The moment, I will add one more sentence, the moment you seek happiness for yourself, you become miserable. So that is the way to secure what is good for oneself. That is the right way. So Prahlada says, Asmin loke, in this world, in this life, pumsaha, to the human being, swarthaha paraha, which is the best for his own welfare, his own happiness. What is the best? Etava neva, only this much. What is that? Ekanta bhaktir govinde, devotion to Ishvara. Devotion, bhakti. I told you this bhakti. So, what kind of bhakti? Ekanta bhakti. The bhakti which has only one end. Eka anta. Only one end the bhakti has. Suppose you are devoted to Ishvara. Now you want heaven. Therefore you are worshipping Ishvara. Now in the worship the end is Ishvara, but you have another end in mind, that is heaven. I told you, suppose God is accepting all these things. If you try this with a friend, he will ask you to get out immediately. Suppose you say a friend, dear friend, I love you, I value your friendship, because in the context of your friendship, certain benefits accrue to me. You say that and try a friendship with anybody. You say that to a friend. He will say, from this moment onwards, I am not your friend, you get out. That is what he will say. But poor God, he takes all those things. So, ekanta bhakti, there is only one end. The means and the goal are one and the same. The means is God, the goal is God. There is a bhakti, this is called, you see, sadhana bhakti, sadhya bhakti. Sadhana bhakti means you want heaven. So heaven is the goal. And what is the means? Devotion is the means. Be devoted to God, you gain heaven. This is called sadhana bhakti. But there is another bhakti. It is called sadhya bhakti. Means the means is bhakti, the end is bhakti. Devotion to God is the means, devotion to God is the end. I love God because I love to love God. There is no other reason. This is called ekanta bhakti. So, when this ekanta bhakti, the love of God, God being sarvatma, yat sarvatra tadikshanam, that is coming. So, I love Ishvara. And the end is Ishvara, the means is Ishvara. That is one thing. Secondly, who is this Ishvara? Ishvara also you should have some vision about Ishvara. Who is this Ishvara? You see, you better take Ishvara as the Sarvatma. Yat sarvatra tadikshanam. You see Ishvara in the moon, in the sun, in the wind, in the river, as the water is flowing, in the river, in the lake, in the mountain, in the bird, in the tree, in the flower, in the butterfly, in the human being, in the young man, in the young girl, in the old man, in the child. You see Ishvara in everything. And then seeing Ishvara, that is Ishvara. And now I am devoted to that Ishvara, Sarvatma. For what? The question doesn't arise. It did not occur to me till now. Now that you are saying, for what? I can only give one answer. For gaining Ishvara. Love of Ishvara. For the gaining of Ishvara. Not for gaining anything else. This is called Ekanta Bhakti. So this kind of bhakti, O Asura Balakas, you have to practice. Narada Uvacha. So you might have noticed that completes the 7th chapter in that section. So we are going into the next chapter. Advaita sutas sarve shrutva tadanu varnitam jagruhur niravadhyatvat naiva gurvanu shikshitam. All these kids, a dozen or 2 dozen kids, they are now exposed to 2 different teachings. One teaching is given by these 2 teachers, Shanda and Marka. These are the 2 teachers. And so they were teaching, you should learn to make money. All economics they were teaching, Artha. And then you have to enjoy all sense pleasures. That also they are teaching. Like modern university education, kind of MBA they were teaching. MBA, you know, Master of Business Administration. So what is the goal of business that study? Why they study? Because they will know all tricks to make more money and all methods of enjoying that money. So all that they will learn. This is what they are learning, people, that is what they are learning. Probably that is needed for securing a job, etc. That is fine. But that is what those teachers were teaching. And dharma, there is artha kama. Dharma, what is dharma? Hiranyakashapave namaha, that is the dharma. Hiranyakashapu is the Supreme Lord. You know, Hiranyakashipu is something like this. It's a story, a Puranic story, a mythological story, but you can find some elements of comparison here and there. Adolf Hitler was like Hiranyakashipu in certain respects. So, he is a dictator and everybody should follow his wish. Everybody, including the clergy, have to follow his wish. If the clergy do not follow his wish, even if a small hint is there that the clergy is not following what Hitler said, they are trying to oppose, they will be arrested and thrown into concentration camp in Dachau. Some of you must have read some of it. So all these priests, there is a block within Dachau concentration camp. There was a block called priest block. All the priests are incarcerated there. He was like that. Adolf Hitler was like that. Real Hiranyakashipu he is. So in certain respects, so like that. Therefore, all these Puranic stories have some kind of some kind of similarity in the society. Anyway, so this is what those teachers were teaching to the kids. Gurvanu Shikshitam. And then Prahlada's teaching, you have seen. Very elaborate teaching it is. For 8 days I have taken Prahlada's teaching this session. And the last session must have been there for 4 or 5 days. So 12 hours, 12 classes of teaching we have seen. That was the teaching of Prahlada. And these kids, it is interesting, the poet says that the kids, they were exposed to both the teachings. They were very wise kids, very smart. They were not saying anything to the gurus, but they have rejected the guru's teaching. they have taken the Prahlada's teaching to their hearts. That is what he says. They did not say to the Guru, "Oh Guru, you are telling wrong." They did not say that. They were listening to the Gurus. And then they were exposed to Prahlada's teaching. They could see that the teaching of these two Gurus is worthless. Prahlada's teaching alone is the right teaching. And these children, they were smart enough to see that. We'll come back. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnasya Hari Om Tat Sat.